How is everybody doing tonight? We got a new puzzle. Ugears Mechanical Celesta. It's one of those like sort of playable instruments. Like when we're done with this, you see there's like hammers here. And I guess those are kind of like keys. I guess we'll see when we open the box. I don't know how much they really are keys. I mean, they look like it. They, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I don't know. Is that like how a piano works? I'm not really sure. I don't know where it... here it is. 573 pieces. So mostly wood puzzle. These pieces are probably not wood. Maybe metal. It looks like you can program it to play so that it, there's a crank here. Like you crank it up and you first you set these pins and then you crank it up. I'm just guessing based on the picture. And then you let it roll and it should play some music. Or you could not crank it, not set it, and just, play your music. Maybe the instruction manual is going to have some music in it. I don't really know. I didn't check it yet. I did download the instruction manual, so we've got it. According to the Ugears website, this is a 8-hour puzzle, but you already know it's not going to be 8 hours. I never stick to the... I never get it done in time. I mean, I don't know if I've ever gotten a puzzle done in the allotted time. So, whatever it is, it is. It's probably not going to be 8 hours. The fact that they say it's going to be 8 hours means it's probably going to be 16 or so. And I think YouTube limits me to 12-hour uploads unless they're live streams. If I do it all in one live stream, then I can go longer. But if I piece several live streams together, or several videos together, basically I have a 12-hour limit. So that means I either have to get this done in 12 hours, or it has to be edited, or I have to do like a part 1, part 2. I don't know. Let's see. What's going on with camera 2? Okay, there we go. It took a minute to focus, didn't it? It wasn't focused when I first went to it, which is crazy because it's... all these cameras are running. Even when I don't go to them, they're supposed to be running. Was I doing some... Oh, I was ripping the paper off. Maybe the paper kind of went up here and changed the focus, and then I went down here. No, that looked good. I don't know what happened. Something happened. There's some garbage. So, whatever happened, it unfocused the camera. Here we go. You can smell the wood there. You can't. I can. How many sheets are we looking at? Wait, did I just blank the screen? What did I press? FTB. That's a bad thing to press. What does FTB stand for? Never press FTB on your Blackmagic Design A10 Mini, or you'll end up with a blank screen. Luckily, I still had the scoreboard and the instructions. Wow, that was crazy. Okay, here's the boards. Are they like stuck together or something? There's stuff under the boards. There's a lot of stuff under the boards. Alright, so the boards have some like plastic on them. That's why I couldn't pick them up. Alright. The plastic is now off. There's a lot of crap underneath the boards. Let's maybe look at that first. What is going on here? There's those like hammers, or at least the ends of the hammers. Okay. Wax. We expected that. Here's those keys, those metal keys. They don't make sounds yet. I guess when they're out of this plastic and individual, they'll make keys. Okay. Generous amount of sandpaper. That's nice. I don't know what this string is for. Got small rubber bands. We've got big rubber bands. And for some reason, this thing is really tall. Oh, because of these. It's the height of those keys. So basically, the height of the box, the height of those keys. So I actually think that there ends up not being that many boards. Like most of this was kind of those keys. Is that what we're going to call the music, the keys? I don't need the manual. And it got damaged. I don't need the manual because I got the PDF. I might need it for something. All right, let's see how many boards we're dealing with here. I think I'm looking at them backwards. Yeah, that looks right. There's one. There's number one. We found number one. Number one. Number one. All right, how many boards? One. Oh, that was piece number one, not board number one. There's a lot of repetitive boards here. I guess that makes sense, building like a piano. There's going to be a lot of repetitive boards. It's not actually... Wow, it continues. Yeah. That's not actually great for building a model. Yeah, it's a lot of repetitive pieces. You know, I'm thinking maybe I can get this done in 8 hours, but it's going to be a little bit boring. I mean, look at this. Any piece... There's like 50 of that piece. There's not that many boards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm kind of... There's 6 boards, but every piece shows up many, many times. So why is the instruction manual 64 pages long? It's 64 pages long, but there's only 6 boards and a lot of the stuff repeats. How do you get it to show the number of pages? I know I saw it before. There it is. It was on the screen for a second. I don't know. I don't know what triggers it's showing up. Oh, you know what? It shows up on my iPad, but not... It doesn't go over the HDMI cable for some strange reason. Anyway, you'll just have to take my word for it. There's 64. You don't have to take my word. Let's scroll to the end. Don't look at the screen if you easily get seizures. All right, here's the end. All right, so 60. Well, it says 63 on the last page, and then the only page after that is the back cover. So it's 64, basically pages here. All right, so we're gonna do this. We're going to get started anyway. All right, there's page 2. There's page 3. Is this where it starts? Page 4? Let's take a look here. Closer look. What is that? Is that the tool piece? Yeah, that is the tool piece, but it's not saying what it is. It's not piece 1, is it? It's piece H. All right, do you see piece H? Anyway. What page are we on? Page 4. We're going by the pages that are printed on them. I think it's the same, actually. Either way you do it, I think it's the same. But so, page 4. Piece 1. Piece 1 is H. And H is a tool. The only problem with H is it's tough to know what board it's on. Because it's a letter. And every other piece is a number. So it's sometimes tricky to find H. Oh, okay. It's on board 1. It's board... There it is. There's H. The way I found it on the instruction manual, it showed that it's on board 1. Right there. Look on the left of the page. It shows a 1 at the bottom of a board. And then at the top of that board, it shows piece H. So here's board 1. It doesn't say board 1 on it, but it is board 1. Oh, it does say board 1 on it, actually. In the upper right corner here, it says board 1. And right next to that, it says H. And here's H. It's actually just a tool. It's not going to be used in the puzzle. All right. That's piece 1. We grabbed the tool. Looks like it's got a little notch, some millimeter measurements, and just some wooden structure that's going to be useful. We could even, just for fun, we could like sand this. I mean, it's a little rough. When you take the pieces out, they have attachments. So this side was off the board, so that's not rough. But this side had 3 attachment points. You can see them there. So I just sanded them off a little bit. All right, now let's start for real. Here's the first thing they want us to do. It is piece 1, piece 2, 2 piece 3s, and a piece 4. And piece 2, they want sanded and waxed. You can see there, sand, wax. And then it's all going to be held together with those pins. 2 3s and a 4. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Those are the pieces we need. So those are 5 pieces. So our piece counter is going to go from 1 to 6. See? Moving right along. All right, now we got to grab those pieces. So there was a big... I don't know if it was a big story. If you follow politics, it was... something happened today for the first time in all of the history of the United States. So I don't actually know the history of the United States well enough to say. Like, I don't know if we had a Congress, branch when George Washington was president. I mean, we got one at some point. And at whatever point we got it, there have been kind of rules. Again, I don't know for sure that on the first day we had Congress, all the rules were in place. But as long as there's been a speaker, and I don't know when was the first speaker, you probably could look it up on Wikipedia. But as long as there's been a speaker, there's never been one who was voted out of the job. Like taken down by the other members of Congress, like, we vote you out of the speakership. Like that happened today. For the first time in U.S. history. At least that's what the article said. It's kind of unbelievable, right? I mean, in other countries, they're like constantly voting out the president, the prime minister, everybody. They just as a regular course of business, they're constantly voting people out. But apparently the U.S. doesn't do that. And I think today was the first time they did it. And just for the record, the guy they voted out was named Kevin McCarthy. He was a Republican. Republicans have the majority in the House, so they got to pick. They got to vote on who's the House Speaker. Here, there's 2 4s. There were like a bunch of 3s. There's at least 2 4s. So whatever we're doing on this first piece, it's like not going to be unique. We're going to do other stuff just like it, using the same pieces. So he was voted out. The most recent action before he was voted out, every year Congress. All right, let me just talk about the puzzle for a minute. So if we match the orientation from the instructions, we've got the curve on the left side, and the pins are going to go in the bottom here. Like 2 of them, there's rectangles for them to go through. The third one looks like it just goes through here. We're going to look closely at that. I may be misunderstanding that. It seems like there's more rectangles at other places, so I don't know why I would put it through here. Oh, yeah, I am wrong about that. It actually goes through here. So 1, 3 goes here, the other 3 goes here. I'm sure at some point we'll be putting them through here and here, but just not in this first instruction. So yeah, I don't know. I totally misread that. Luckily, we didn't put the pieces in yet. All right, this piece, they want sanded and waxed. So let's do that. So the last thing Kevin McCarthy did before he got voted out was they had to approve the budget. Now this happens every year. They have to approve the budget, and it's always an issue. Because what does Congress do other than like spend our money? Lately, they don't even spend our money. They like spend money that they don't even have, creating debt that like our grandchildren have to pay. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of contention over like what we're spending this money on. One big thing this year is Ukraine. There's a war going on in Ukraine, and to some people, it's of vital importance that Ukraine wins. But to most people, I think, it's of vital importance that it just stop. Because, like, Ukraine has had, like, 400,000 people die, which is, I think, like 10 times what the U.S. lost in Vietnam. And they've had that in 2 years, or however long it's been. So it's really, like, a tragedy going on over there. Okay. This piece, number 4, it looks like something. Like some llama or something. I don't know. Anyway, with the llama's legs on the ground, so he's tall. So llama is tall. If it was like this, it would be like, I don't know, anteater or something. But it's tall, like a llama. So that's the way it goes in here. So a lot of people didn't want money to go to Ukraine. Now, before we even talk about that vote, the interesting thing right now in Congress is Republicans no longer vote in lockstep. So Democrats still do it. Republicans don't. So, for example, you'll hear a lot of Democrats say in like interviews or, you know, to reporters or whatever, they'll say that, you know, they don't want the money to go to Ukraine like they'll say it to their constituents, or their constituents will say it to them. But, okay, so when we put these 3s in, they go parallel to the ground, what we believe is the ground. That's the way they go in. So they say they don't want to fund Ukraine, some of them, but they all vote to fund it. They vote like as a block. And Republicans, or let's say at least a dozen Republicans, are saying, don't make a big bill with all the things, put it separate, so that we can vote on the bill, you know, that's going to fund whatever we fund, the budget, and then make a second funding. This piece, I think, is symmetric, right? Doesn't matter which direction we put this in, right? All right, so I'm also not sure. I waxed these ends, but I think I'm going to wax the sides too. So some Democrats want to some Republicans want to be able to vote on the budget separately. Like this budget's for education, this budget's for Ukraine, this budget's for, I don't know, Meals on Wheels for old people, like whatever it is, they want it to be separate. They want it like, or at least by sections, like this is for military, this is for transportation. Like they want it to be separate, but it's not. That's not currently how they do it. Currently, they just approved this huge budget. So, like 12 Republicans didn't want it approved with Ukraine funding in it. So, McCarthy went and he made the budget that Democrats said they would vote for. So McCarthy's a Republican, but he made a budget that Democrats were willing to vote for. You know what? Something's not right here. Let me see. This doesn't look right, right? Is this piece supposed to bend? Did I put it on upside down? Let's try it the other way. I doubt there's any difference, but something is not working here. There's some numbers here. Let's look at the numbers. All right, 2, 2. I don't know what those numbers mean. 1, 1. All right, yeah, we have it through the correct holes. But something's not right. It looks like when I look at the instructions, it looks right. But when I try to put the piece, it doesn't line up. Like, that's a problem, right? If I try to force it on here, like, that doesn't seem like a good idea. I'm going to pull this piece off and then flip it around and see if it fits any better the other way. So anyway, long story short, Kevin McCarthy leaves the Ukraine funding in. And all the Democrats vote for it. Or maybe some percentage vote for it. And then some percentage of Republicans don't vote for it. Yeah, this way looks better. So somehow it matters which side is up and which side's down. So McCarthy made a bill that all the Democrats voted for, not all the Republicans voted for. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the Democrats won. They all voted for it. Or at least they voted in lockstep. But if you assume that they're voting for their constituents, then Democrats won. But those 12 Republicans that didn't vote for it, not only did they not vote for it, they raised the issue to vacate the office of Speaker, which was Kevin McCarthy's office. And then all the Democrats who just voted for McCarthy's bill, they voted with those 12 Republicans to vacate the office. So McCarthy now lost his job as Speaker. And apparently that's the first time a Speaker of the House of Representatives was voted out in this manner. But it's crazy because he essentially was voted out by the Democrats after he had just chosen to make this deal with the Democrats rather than deal with his own party. So I guess the lesson there is that old expression, like, dance with the one who brought you. You know, he made the opposition party happy instead of his own party, and now he's out because the opposition party voted him out, which is insane. It's like they don't care that he just worked with them. They voted him out anyway. It's like they're just programmed to vote. You know, someone's from another party, vote against him. That's what they did. All right. Now we're on page 5 of the instructions. And this is going to look very similar. We're using 2 and 2 3s. So we're working with the same piece as we were a minute ago. A 2 and 2 3s. Again, sand and wax the 2 piece. And then it's going to go connect to the same piece we've been working with. So let's do that. Here's the other 2. And we'll grab 2 more 3s, which we can get from here. So now the question is, who's going to be the next speaker? And the Democrats will again try to win that position. But, like, that I think is insane. Like, the Republicans didn't vote they've 12 of them voted to vacate the office of Speaker, but the idea that they would vote for a Democrat as Speaker of the House, I just don't see that happening. They got to, they got to vote somebody. Oh, and here's the crazy thing. The Speaker of the House is, I believe historically, it's always been a member of the House, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe there's a time when it wasn't. I don't know. But it's not required to be. So, the Speaker of the House, I think it's just like anyone. Just like someone, 35 years old and American-born citizen. Like, whatever's the rules to, like, run for president, it's like the same rules to run for Speaker of the House. So, traditionally, the politicians have always voted one of their own to be Speaker of the House, but apparently they don't have to. And where that gets crazy is when there's an impeachment. Okay, when the president is impeached, like fully impeached, meaning like he's no longer the president, then there's a line of succession. And the next person after the president is the vice president. You probably could guess that. The third person after that, the president and the vice president, is the Speaker of the House. I don't know why that would be. I don't know who decided that, but that's the way it works. That's the line of succession. So anyone could be picked for that Speaker of the House, and then that person could become president if the president and vice president are impeached, and there's currently an impeachment movement going on right now. And you might say, well, the impeachment's not going to go through because the president is of the same party that's currently has the majority in the Senate. But the Senate is very strange right now. One member just died. There's like 3 or 4 members who are like mentally incapacitated. I know that sounds like crazy. You're like, why? How did these people be senators? There's only 100 senators. How could you have like several of them whose brains don't function? But that's currently the case in the United States. So anything could happen here. All right. Should we go on to the next page? They're showing more of those 2s and more of those 3s, but how? Oh, it also another one of these, but this time piece number 5. All right, let's just take a minute here. So we're starting a new piece, and it's 5. So we need 2 more 2s and 4 more 3s, and then we need a piece called 5. Yep, this is 5 right here. I actually don't see the number 5 yet. I just know that it must be 5. Wow. I don't see the number 5. What am I missing here? All right, I'm going to trace my finger all the way around the edge. Okay, I found it. It's 5. It's right there. All right, so 5, 2 2s, and 4 3s. So that's 7 pieces. So we're going to be up to 16 pieces. And we're on page 6. All right, so let's get this out. And then we'll get the 2 2s out, sand and wax them, and then we'll get 4 3s. So yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy times in U.S. politics. And then there's people, I don't know if I even should bring this up. I think if you bring it up and you believe it, you actually lose your YouTube channel. But I'm not sure what happens if you bring it up and you don't believe it. And by the way, that doesn't mean that it's false. But I'm already, by saying that, I'm now teetering on the edge of claiming it's true, which is definitely you lose your YouTube channel. Well, anyway, I'll say it on the theory that A, I'm not claiming to support it, and B, I'm just mentioning that the theory exists. I'm not saying that I support it. I'm not claiming that it's true. So the theory is that there was like Insurrection Act signed. And when Insurrection Act is signed, there's basically multiple steps. So when Obama was president, he signed something that they're allowed to do propaganda to American people. And then when Trump was president, he signed the Insurrection Act, which basically meant that he could repel the insurrection. So, like, people will tell you there was an insurrection on January 6th. There might have been, but it might if Trump was president on January 6th. So, if he signed the Insurrection Act, then, and by the way, it could have been signed before January 6th. But if he signed it, whether it was because of January 6th or before or after January 6th, regardless, he was the president when it was signed. The president can't be, as much as the media will tell you it was an insurrection, the president can't be insurrecting himself when he's president. That just logically doesn't make sense. All right, so when we put the threes in, just make sure you've got it this way. So the round portion on the right, the legs on the bottom, and we're going to put we're going to put all of the threes in at once this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where all the threes are going to go. All right. So some people believe that Trump signed the Insurrection Act, which basically means he could repel the insurrection, and Obama signed, I don't know what it was called, but it allowed propaganda to be used against the American people. So if you put these two facts together, that means there could be an information war right now going on in the United States, and nobody would tell you, because there'd be a state of insurrection and propaganda is approved. So that would mean that someone could create any nonsense they wanted and tell you it was real, and I don't know how you would find out that it isn't. I don't even know the answer. I'm tempted to say like investigative reporters, but as we know, anyone who talks about this loses their like social media channel. So I don't even know how you would like, even if you had like proof, I don't know how you would tell anybody. Even if you knew, and I don't even know like proof of what. This is a very like speculative topic, and I don't even know what you would be proving. I think I've got that backwards. I don't know, somehow from some angles this 2-piece goes on to the 3s, and from other angles it doesn't. And the piece looks like symmetric to me. It looks like it doesn't matter which way you put it until you actually try to put it on, and then all of a sudden it matters. Like it doesn't line up if you do it wrong. Like I think Does that look right? That looks wrong. So let's try like this. That looks right. So they must be slightly different. Or maybe I'm just, maybe I just think so. All right, so we've done the first 6 pages. I think like that was really only like 2.5 pages. And here's what we created. I think it's the 2 like sides of this piano. Yeah, it's the 2 sides. This is like a smaller puzzle than a lot of the puzzles we've done. Oh, right. We didn't put in the 4. Can you believe this entire page 7 is just one piece? Putting that 4 in. So we were saying like, how are there 64 pages in this book? Well, this is how to get to 64 pages. You put in one piece in this page, and it's not even like an important piece. Like we easily could have done this piece like on the previous page, and it would have made no difference. All they had to do was put that 4. I mean, we all knew that piece was going to go there eventually. They just didn't mention it until now. So they mentioned it now, and now we're going to add it. So this is that little like llama piece, or whatever you want to call this piece. So we put one on the first side, and now we're going to put one on this second side. That must be the first side. It's already got its llama. All right, here's the... Okay, so that's where the llama goes, right? But on the other side. On the side with the pins. Not exactly pins. The pin heads, I guess you would call them. This top part. The pins go through the wood, and this head doesn't go through. Pinheads. The llama goes on the side with the pinheads. I'm making these terms up. But this puzzle is from Ukraine, so I don't know what they call it in Ukraine. Maybe they do call it a pinhead. We'll never know. All right. Let's do page 8 tomorrow. I'm John Rapp. This is Just Rest Your Eyes. Good night, and see you tomorrow.